Right, next week in year 3 we'll be looking at money, and if I was checking how much a child knows about money, I might say first, let's see if you can sort a group of coins from highest value to lowest value. So here we have some coins, and so hopefully we'd move the £2 here, £1 next, 50p, then 20, then 10, and then 5, 2, and if we had a 1p it would be here. If you can do that, great. The next step would be to check to see whether you can find equivalent values in coins. So £1 is equivalent to, let's say, 50p, 250p's. We know that's equivalent, but you can also find other ways of making a pound. You could have a 50, and you could have a 20, another 20, and a 10. So I've made a pound in 2 different ways. You could do that with more coins until you're really confident at it. And if you're good at that, great. We can move on to some other questions. For example, I have these coins in my pocket. What's the value? What I would do here is make sure they're in the right order. They are, but they might not be. We'll look at that later. And I'll put them into a bar model. So if I move down here, we've got a bar made up, and the first one was £1. And the next one was 50p. Then it was a 20p, and a 10p, and then 5p. And what I'll do is underneath this, we're going to add them up to see what they're worth altogether. Here, so I'll try and keep my pounds and pence separate for now. So I've got a pound there, and I'm just going to move that to the bottom. My bar's the same size because it's the same amount. And then I would add up some of these values. We're counting in tens up until here, so that's quite easy. 50, 60, 70, 80. So that's worth 80p. 80p is equivalent to the 50, 20, and 10. And then, well, I'm just going to keep that as 5p. Let's keep going. We haven't added them all together yet, so I'm going to keep my pound here. And we've got 80p and 5p. If I add them together, I've got 85p. So my answer is we have £1 and 85 pence. Now, at this age group, I wouldn't write that as a decimal. We haven't taught decimals in addition or subtracting. So to introduce it like this would be too soon and not the way I'd want to introduce it. I just want to keep that as £1 and 85p. I'm not going to use a decimal place. We haven't taught that to them yet, and I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay, so let's see if we can do this one. Okay, right. Try and sort these coins from highest to lowest. Okay, hopefully you would have got the highest value coin is £2. Then we have a 50p, another 50p, and 2 10p's, and a 2p piece at the end. So again, I'm going to add them up to see how much I've got all together. So we'll just draw another bar underneath, exactly the same length. And I'm separating my pounds and pence. So I've got £2 here. Right, now I've got 2 50p's. And I know that 2 50p's equals £1, because a pound is 100 pennies. So 50 pennies plus another 50 pennies is £1. So now I can change that to a pound. And over here I've got 10p, 10p and 2p. I'm going to add those up in one go. I'm confident I can do that. So that's 10, 20 plus 2 is 22 pence. And hopefully you can see where I'm going. If I look at this, I've got £2 and £1. I'll add that up together and I'll have £3. So this is worth £3, this is worth £3, this is worth £3. And over here I've just got 22p again. So my answer is £3 and 22p. We will have time for, let's just do one more. See if you can do this one. Okay, so this is more challenging, and this is how I would do it. I'd start with my bar model. Oh, it's a bit wonky, doesn't matter. And I'll sort my coins again. And the highest value was £1. And the next one was a 50p. And then we had 3 20p's. And I'm going to draw my bar underneath and I'm going to bring down the £1. But I'm not going to add the 50 to the 20, the 20 to the 20 yet, because I tried this in my head and it's a bit trickier than above, because 50 plus 20, it's 60, 70, plus another 20, 80, 90, but plus another 20 takes me to 100 and 110, which is a bit confusing. So I'm just going to do it in 2 steps. I'm going to do the 3 20s together. So 20 plus 20 plus 20 equals 60p, and I can bring down the 50. Now, I can bring down the £1. I could add the 50 and the 60 together, and I would end up with 110 pence. And that's a perfectly good way of doing it, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind myself that to make £1 I need 50p and another 50p. So I can actually split that 60p into a 50. I can partition it into a 50p, and what would be left over? If I take 50 away from 60, I would have 10p left over. Bring down the 50 again, and now look what I've got. I've got my £1, 50 and 50 is another £1, and left over is 10p. So if I add up the pounds, I have £2 and 10p. So again, I'm going to write that as £2 and 10 pence. Okay, if you want to try one, I've got one here. I'm not going to go through the answers with you because I want to keep this video short, but if you want, you can have a go at doing this. But if you're confident with this, you can do this for word problems as well. So here we have word problems. It's a bit harder to understand, but let's read it. Hassan has £1 and 55p. Tony has £2 and 70p. How much do they have together? So again, I could draw a bar model for this, and I could draw it this way. So I could say Hassan has £1 and 55p. Now you can't get a 55 pence, so I'll write it as 50p and 5p. Tony has £2 and a 70 pence. Oh, hang on, we can't do 70 pence. Let's make that 50p and 20p. Right, I'm going to have to reorder these from largest to smallest. We're adding them all up. If you're adding, it doesn't matter what order you add in, you get to the same number. So let's move the £2 to here. £2 is the highest value, then £1, then we've got a 50p, then we've got another 50p, and then we've got a, make sure that it's like a 50, 20p, and we've got a 5p piece. So now I've ordered them, it's a bit easier to add them up. So I'm going to draw my bar underneath again. £2 and £1 is £3. 50p and 50p makes £1. 20p and 5p is 25 pence. Look, we're almost there. You may well just be able to do this in your head and not need to use the bar model, but we can add £3 and £1, and that's £4, and we'll just bring down the 25p, and our answer is, together they have £4 and 25 pence. Okay.